have Roman here today to talk to us about Waterwise Gardening on our virtual home sustainability home expo. So climate change predictions for the future rainfall highlight a significant reduction in likely in the secure yield of rainfall for Tweed's water supply. By 2026, demand for water in the Shire and Tweed Shire is predicted to exceed the amount of water available. So that's not very far off. So while council is working to increase the water supply, and we're working on raising Clarryhall Dam, using water in a sustainable way is important now and will remain important in the future. How we use our water, using it more appropriately. So last year, council had to implement water restrictions, and we saw how vulnerable our water supply can be. And we actually went to very high levels in our water restrictions. Water consumption in the Shire continues to be well above council's target of 160 litres per person per day. And in October this year, it was as high as 206 litres per person per day. So that's a lot of extra water being used. So what does it mean? It means that everyone needs to save about 50 litres of water a day. Using water efficiently and sustainably outdoors, particularly in the garden, is a key way to save a large part of your 50 litres. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to Roman, who is going to present on some Waterwise gardening tips.
Hello and welcome in Waterwise Gardening Expertopia. Today I would like to tell you a bit of our gardening story, but also would love to share with you a lot of ideas, inventions, knowledge and experience about Waterwise gardening, and also would love to inspire you to grow more organic food and empower you to make a difference. When we are talking about waterwise gardening, we need to know how much water is used in a garden. And in average Australian household, about 50% of overall water consumption goes to the garden, which is about 450 liters of water per day. When we were living in a unit with a small backyard in a Brisbane city, we use different techniques how to save water, and I'm going to share some with you. First, we actually were catching rainwater from the roof, but also we were using grey water from a washing machine. You can also use the grey water from the whole house, filter it through the sand filter and send it to the fruit trees. Use a lot of IBC tanks like here to store rainwater, but obviously the best way is to have a large rainwater tanks which can store a huge amount of water from rain. And plants prefer rainwater compared to tap-down water. When we are talking about planting, here are other tips what you can make at home. Wicking pots make out of a milk container where you make a hole through the lid with a small wick from fabric, and the bottom part is a water storage, the top part soil and plant all together wicking pot. The larger version of it is 20-liter quick cooking oil drum, which I converted into plant pot. And you can grow, for example, capsicums or tomatoes in it. Here is how we apply these wicking pots in a vertical gardening in a block wall. And you can grow beautiful strawberries without watering them every day. But being an engineer, I'm always thinking how to make my life easier, and came up with this idea of self-watering plant boxes out of the styrofoam boxes. Broccoli box from fruit and veggie shop, for example. The bottom part, the lid is cut to fit and creates with these PVC pipes creates a raised floor which actually stores water, and through these pipes water through the through the soil is wicking up and providing water to plants. Most importantly, in a pipe there is a float, and that will tell you how much water is still stored in a box and whether it needs any top up. And we actually apply these styrofoam boxes into a fruit and vegetable pyramid on a concrete yard. Even in a full sun in hot summer days, the plants were happy because they had a constant supply of moisture. Here is another idea of using a blue plastic 200-liter drums, which you can create large pots, wicking pots again, with about 50 liters water stored at the bottom, and we planted in this instance a dwarf banana tree there. But also if you cut it alongside, you create a small garden bed, and in this instance we planted pineapples, and self-seeded potatoes started to grow and already gave us some fruit. When we are talking about watering the fruit trees, here is another tip. They need moisture in a root zone, and to get it there, you use a copper pipe connected to your hose, and you poke it in the ground, and water actually will get directly to the root zone, so you don't water the top level. And this is what we converted the small backyard into a productive garden by using all these tricks, and we save a huge amount of water, and that garden has been massively productive. So I would encourage you to apply some of these things in your circumstances and grow amazing home produce, which is full of nutrients, and definitely it's fresh.
Hello and welcome in this Waterwise gardening session in a larger scale. So what we do here in Spartopia Homestead, I would like to share with you a lot of ideas so you can apply it in your circumstances. Spartopia Homestead, here is a layout of the place, and we're working towards self-sufficiency, and you will see how we do that. So rainwater harvesting is a very good deal here, because it's a very dry area north of Ipswich. We don't get too much rainfall, so we actually installed rainwater tanks, and now we've got over 100,000 liters water storage capacity. But while using a huge amount of fruit trees in a garden might not be enough. So when we started, we actually used a lot of self-watering planter boxes and pots to grow some greens, but also established a lot of compost, because we know compost will retain a lot of moisture in the ground and create a soil which we didn't have at the start. And that is the vegetable garden in an area where is the septic overflow gravel sucking pit. And we actually built the garden beds above that, so they actually tap into the moisture nutrients, and they are literally wicking and growing very well. We built also swells to harvest runoff water, and when there is a lot of water, water was rushing down off the hill and didn't penetrate into the sound, so created swells, and they actually stops the water and slowly penetrates water in. And we actually planted the fruit trees in that swells, and here you can see how these swells actually are working. And in this place we created a food forest. Here are different types of wicking garden beds you can make at home. So the black plastic line actually holds water. And in this instance, we use actually hardwood wood chips and algae pipe to get water in and creates water storage. And a shade cloth separates wood chips from the soil, and it works very, very well. The other way of wicking garden bed is made from bricks and grills, and each brick with a hole filled with the dirt creates wick. So at 1 square meter, we have got about 70 liters of water stored there. Energizing mandala pyramid is another garden beds, self-watering garden beds with strips of corrugated iron, and the gaps between are filled with a shade cloth with soil. So it's like a linear wick, taking the moisture from the underneath to the plants. And here is a self-watering herb spiral. The idea of herb spiral is very, very old, but what is innovative about this design is self-watering. So it has literally 3 tiers of water storage, and the water storage here is made from the stones, and the 3 levels actually creates 3 water reservoirs, and the herbs are growing very, very, very well. Wicking bathtubs are another way of growing food, and wicking the planter pots are converted into a wicking wicks, and they supply plants with a lot of moisture. It holds about 50 to 80 liters of water. So why don't you utilize the bathtubs that you can find on the curbside? Kitchen garden, here you can see how we actually converted sloping ground into a kitchen garden, and here you can see how it actually developed over the time. You can see how the garden is growing with these wicking garden beds, and it's amazing what you can achieve in a couple of years. Here you can see the conversion. So what I would suggest, there are always different ways of watering and fertilizing, and look how our girls are helping with fertilizing our plants. So here are our tips. Please do a deep watering rather than a shallow, quick watering. Create a more shape for your plants, and add a lot of compost, because compost will retain a lot of moisture. Mulch on the top, and harvest the rainwater rather than using town water. Use a grey water for watering your fruit trees, and definitely swells for a runoff water. We are running a lot of workshops, garden tours, farm stays, and I also do a lot of garden consultations for people. We also created a multimedia kit for self-sufficiency, which is available at our website. So if you are after more details, you will find it at our website, spurtopia.com.au. And I hope that this was very, very helpful to you, and looking forward to talking to you very, very soon.